Hey folks, today we have some more video game stuff. I picked up one of these on eBay recently for ultra cheap. Like this, whoever wanted this probably found it in their attic and was like, why do I have this old thing still? And I got it for, I can't even remember, I got it a while ago, but I got it real cheap because it had no power cord or anything with it. Luckily, I happen to have a power cord and some AV cables, so it worked out well. This sort of completes my official Sega consoles as far as the Genesis releases go. So it's pretty cool. There's one other thing I would. There's a couple other things I want. I want a CDX and a JVC XI. That's really it. That's then I'll be done with my Genesis collecting. Other than the games, of course, but this is a new edition. You've seen my Model 1 and Model 2 Sega Genesis systems. You've seen my Model 1 and 2 Sega CD systems, and you've seen the 32X. Now we get to take a look at the Genesis 3. This was an interesting period for Sega. This was the late 90s, when they were sort of gearing up for the Dreamcast release and recovering from the Saturn disaster. If you take a look at the bottom of the console and read a part of it, you'll see Majesco Sales Incorporated right down there. And this is when Majesco took over a lot of the console stuff that Sega had going on at the time, at least for re-releases. They're responsible for the Genesis 3, and they're also responsible for re-releasing the Game Gear. And those Majesco Game Gears, I think, don't have the problems the older ones did. Whereas the Sega Genesis 3 is just the same Genesis, except that it doesn't have support for the accessories. And with that, we'll take a look at the I.O. on this machine. You get two ports. You get the AV out, and you get a power adapter. Oh, you get the controller ports as well, but this is all you get. There's no expansion port for a Sega CD. There's no extra connections for a 32X. You're playing Genesis games, and that is it. So, a Genesis game in this type of cartridge, that's all you're going to get. And, of course, it's AV. They got rid of the RF stuff being built in by, I think, the Genesis Model 2. You could probably still plug an RF modulator into that port, but why when the AV cables exist? Also, by that point, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they started just including 6-button controllers with the consoles. And that's good, because that's better for fighting games and stuff like that, where you can use the extra buttons up here. So, what does this thing perform like? I have no idea. We should try it out, shouldn't we? Let's get out the cheap old TV and plug her in and see what she does with Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck. Alright. I got the game in there. Got the whole thing plugged in. The controller and everything. And one thing I'd like to point out before I actually start playing anything is some of the parts where they cut corners. Like a lot of smaller revisions of consoles, they make them cheaper. So there's no LED. Instead, it's an orange sticker there underneath the power button. Some people really make a big deal out of that. When it's a cheaper revision, you should expect that stuff. If you don't want that, get the older one. So, anyhow, let's take a look at the game, shall we? Put you right here. And we'll zoom right in. And play the game. This is Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck. This is just to see what the performance is like. Not much different than any other Genesis. This game has awesome music. It really does. The audio sounds pretty good, although it's really hard to tell with this game in particular because it doesn't push the audio chip that hard. We'd have to get out something like Altered Beast and a decent pair of speakers, I think, to see how good the sound would be on this. I might go grab that and try it after we demo some of this. This is just some of the music in this game. Where's the music, the finale music? Because that's really good. There's the boss music. I'm telling you, man, this game, Chuck Rock 2 Son of Chuck, is one of the best soundtracks of any Genesis game I've ever played. It's from 1993, so, you know. Yeah, there's the level change sound. Let's see if I can get the boss music, or the ending music. There it is. This game has great music. Let's start the game. Actually play something. I get distracted with the music really easily. I'm sorry, guys. So this is one of the platformers which was common in the early 90s. It's a really good one though. This one's fun. The original Chuck Rock exists on both the that was a dumb idea. I'm gonna reset. I screwed that up. Yeah, the original Chuck Rock is available on the Genesis. It's also on the Super Nintendo as well, so if you don't have a Genesis, the first original Chuck Rock is on Super Nintendo. The sequel is only on the Genesis, though, so I think the Genesis version is kind of a... I always miss that stupid thing. I'm doing terrible today. Whenever I turn the camera on, I swear, I'm just bad at games. Don't get stepped on, don't get stepped on. Oh yeah. That stepping dinosaur thing there reminds me a lot of Vector Man, where everything is a sphere. Hit the right button, dumbass. There we go. Woo! Oh god. Whee! Yeah, man, this is my heaven right here. I love 16-bit games. Ow. Seriously? There we go. There we go, got some health there. Your health is the baby bottle. Let's try and not die this time. Whee! Go away, bird. There we go, I beat a level. That's all I wanted to do. So that's Chuck Rock 2 Son of Chuck, which doesn't really push the sound hardware that much on this, which is really what the main difference would be, I'd think. So I am going to go grab Altered Beast, and we'll see how that sounds. Okay, let's give Altered Beast a shot. See if it sounds distorted. Actually, it sounds okay. It doesn't sound distorted like Doesn't sound distorted like the Model 2 and some of the later Model 1s did. So this might be okay. So the Model 3 seems like it's a good version of the Sega Genesis, aside from it not having compatibility with the accessories.
Rise from your grave.
Rise from your grave. This game takes practice, and I haven't played this in the 2 years, so... Power up. Voices in this game are cool. Ow! You're not nice. Zombies! Ow. My timing is not great. Look how buff I am. Damn. Yeah!
Welcome to your doom.
Welcome to your doom. Let's see if I can beat the first boss. Ow. I'm not good at this. Oh, I think I figured it out. You just do that. Yeah, I'm starting to remember the pattern again. It's been a while. I love this game, man. It's so good. Come on, die already, bro. Not me. Him. Oh, seriously? That was not good. That was not cool. Yeah! Of course he steals all your powers. Oh no, this level's really hard. At least compared to the first one. Those look like Slimers from Ghostbusters. Ow! I doubt I'm gonna beat this level. Damn it. Damn it! Power up. Okay, Slimer. Okay, blue bullshit. Come here. There's some cool looking creatures in this game. I always loved that. Seriously? As you can see, I'm a little bit better at 16-bit games than I am Atari games, because this is my favorite era of gaming, is the 16-bit era. So, there you go, folks. That is the Sega Genesis Model 3 in action. It seems to be a little bit of an improvement over the Model 2 in terms of sound quality. The sound out of this does not sound bad at all. At least through this crappy TV here. This TV really is cheap and junk, but from what I've heard through it, it doesn't sound bad. The sound doesn't sound really distorted and awful like it did on the... What was the model? The... Something 7 model of board that was in the Model 1 Genesis, and of course the Model 2s that all had that distorted sound thing going on. Genesis 3 doesn't seem to have that problem. You know, I wouldn't quote me on that, but just from what we've played here, it doesn't seem to have that problem, which is nice. Everything sounds fine, plays fine. The visual, I think the video quality could be a little bit better than it is, but again, this is a cheap TV, so you can't expect much out of this. But you know, it works, sounds good, plays well. Seems like if you just want to get into game collecting and you don't really care about the Sega CD or the Sega 32X, this is a good option. The only problem you're going to have is that I don't think the Genesis 3, since it's a system on a chip design, is going to play games like the Genesis version of Virtua Racing. I think you need a Model 1 or a Model 2 to play that. I did open this up and look at it, and they basically consolidated a lot of the circuitry onto one chip. So this was the beginning of that SoC type of thing that you saw in my last video about the Atari Flashback. Similar stuff going on in here, except that it's done very well since it's from the 90s. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a look at the Genesis Model 3, a very brief one. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. This would be a good console to take over to somebody's place, just play some games on. I like these smaller systems. They're kind of neat. So, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.